excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Hello, everyone. 1201, and welcome to Two Guys and a Goalie, presented to you by GS Construction, where they are not only hiring now, they're hiring all the time. GS Construction, become a part of the great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca or their page on indeed.ca. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction has been built on efficiency, quality, and safety. Take your career to the next level at GS Construction. HVAC guy. Okay, that was the HVAC guy who just walked through the screen. How you doing, Reed? Surprise! Reed Wilkins is with us today. How you doing, buddy?
That was awesome.
Did you like that?
The HVAC worker just comes right
Just
through the
walks
show.
right through the
He's
show.
got to get in there to do the work.
There's no other way.
Our HVAC is not operational.
With that being said, the HVAC is what's it? That's just, is that the electrical room, Jay? I know nothing about this building. I don't know I don't know if anybody knows anything about this building, to be honest with you.
Well, that's the room.
Did it just turn on? You just fix it that quick? Maybe.
Maybe.
He said maybe.
Hey, Jay.
God, you got to teach us that trick. Oh, you can feel that. Or maybe it was just the door breeze. Maybe that's it.
Well, it'd be nice if it were fixed because it was very hot
What was it, a couple of days ago? Like
when it
Tuesday?
really wasn't that hot outside. It was in the mid-teens.
Yeah, but it was like 26 in here.
It was very hot, yes.
Yeah. That's kind of ridiculous. Cass, how's your air conditioning at the place where you work?
It's okay. It's okay. Like, it works. Sometimes though, like, as you've noticed, I've now figured out how to rotate, and with the stand-up desk, like, rotate so we're not staring outside.
Yeah, that's good.
With the camera, which is really good. And also good because I moved away from the windows a little bit with that, because it gets toasty with the sun in the windows, kind of right around that lunchtime. Like, sun moves around some buildings and then just starts hammering right on my windows on this side, and it gets a little warm. And it's not horrible, not awful, but it can get a little toasty in here. So it for the most part, it's pretty good. I do have my little fan though. Sometimes I'll turn that on underneath my desk if it does get a little warmer, just to get a bit more airflow. But I got to say, guys, I'm a little intimidated right now to have both of you. Not just one of you. Like, one of you I feel at a time I can handle, but both of you at the same time.
That totally makes sense.
I don't understand what what would be intimidated about that.
I was going to say, we're like physically the least two intimidating guys you can ever. What are you talking about?
We'll make you comfortable.
No, I mean more like emotionally and like from a knowledge standpoint.
Yeah. Well, Reed's very smart.
Really smart guys.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Cass. Reed, I'll just tell you, I don't think Cass has ever referred to me as a smart guy until you got on the show with us. So I will definitely take that, Cass. Did you say stand-up desk? Are you a stand-up desk guy?
I have one now. Yeah. And I actually had wanted it for a while, and I don't use it all the time.
But you can't. So you have the option to bring it up and then
you
take
have
it
the
back
option. Down. But even better than just the option to stand up is the option just to have the desk higher. So my desk now is at a height that's probably like, I figure this is the height that most people normally have their desk at. Like, normal sized people, when they sit at a desk, this is what the desk feels like
for you now. And, so it's appropriate for your body.
It's appropriate for my body. So it's like 4 or 5 inches higher than like a regular desk right now. And it's like a good, comfortable, I can sit up straight. It's nice. And then, get a little bit of stand up every once in a while during a day too, which is good. So
what type of, because we had, when I was in Fort Mac, this is a funny, shady radio story. So when I was in Fort Mac, it was the stand-up desk, like the taller desk. When you were at Chet, it was more sit-down. It was like lower desks
for hosting.
Yeah, for hosting.
Yeah, it was just normal.
Because like in up in Fort Mac and like at the Bear, even over in the Bell Building, they're more stand-up desks. So you have to have like a higher chair.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I was like the news guy and like morning show sidekick, and I didn't have a chair. Like they didn't have. There was no chair for me. And I went to my boss at the radio station. I said, hey man, like, can I get a chair to sit on for 3 hours while we do the show? And he goes, well, it's a stand-up desk. I said, yeah, but the host has a chair. Like, how come he goes, well, I was just like, what do you mean? So I went to the store, bought a chair in a box, came in, and right in the middle of the station, I built this chair for myself.
Oh,
and I was
nice.
like, this is bloody ridiculous. So I built, and then I had a chair. I mean, it's okay to stand up and do something, but it's nice to sit down once in a while in a 3-hour show. Like,
Well, yeah, you still want to have sometimes.
Yeah.
Actually, when I would do shifts on 880,
yeah.
it was the higher desks there, so
Yeah.
you could stand or slide in a chair. Like, that's weird. He would just refuse.
Yeah, he's
you a
like,
chair.
no. He goes, I said, oh, the other chairs, like my head would barely come. He's like, no. And this is funny because that was Rogers 17 years ago. They wouldn't buy me a chair, but now they're giving $11 billion for NHL rights.
Well, that's
$500 million
though.
of left.
They
Like,
make money back off the NHL.
Well, I mean,
Getting you that chair.
I was
made absolutely
reading.
nothing.
I was reading sponsor reads on news updates. Like, the chair would have paid for itself in a month.
Yeah.
You know, it was. Yeah, that was ridiculous. Anyway, this one, it says, Dusty's like the security guard that George gave a chair to in Seinfeld. Remember that episode when the guy had to stand and George got him a chair and they accidentally fell asleep and got fired because George had given him a chair? That was a pretty funny one.
I don't remember that one.
That was a good one. All right, so the Masters are on. I just want to quickly touch base on this, and then we'll get into the game last night and what an interesting game it was. But Cass, like, when you're at work today, do you keep do you care about the Masters at all? Like, do you check in on the leaderboard? Like, I know some guys who will leave work and just go, I'm meeting buddy this afternoon. We're just going to go watch the Masters for a couple hours.
Yeah.
So any interest?
I'm not at that level. Like, I'll pull it up. Like, I'm not at the level of like leaving work to go check.
Yeah,
Like, I'll pull it up once or twice over the course of the day, like to check, and then watch the highlights.
That's
in the
reasonable. Like, that's normal, I think.
like that. I think that's a healthy amount, like where it's just take a peek at it, just to see where everyone is, and then watch the highlights and catch up in the evening, and then I'll have it on Sunday in particular. You just throw it on and have it on the background all day, which is nice.
Yeah, we got it on here in the studio. Where are you at? Read on a level of like 10 being guy who would leave work to watch Masters down to one guy who doesn't check it at all.
I've been very lucky because for most of my adult life, I've been able to watch it at work if I wanted to. I like watching. I like the four majors as much as I say I like watching golf. I suppose really it comes down to the four majors. I'm glad it's going to be on all day here at work. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's the thing is on a day on Thursday and Friday, there's almost too much to follow, and then you get down to Saturday and Sunday, and it's just you're just kind of watching the leaders. But I just find this tournament and this golf course so compelling, right? Like all the history there. The opportunities to shoot low scores. I mean, it's such a great risk-reward course, right? Like with reachable par fives, but water in front, with a tree in the way.
Challenging.
All that kind of stuff. So that's what makes it so fun to watch. And I've never been there, but you're
no Murray McCourt.
No Murray McCourt. But I've read about it, and I've talked to Rob Tichkowski about it. He went and covered the Masters a few years, and you know how secret it is there. And he goes, like, he was telling me that they actually make, in some cases, fairly significant changes to the course every year, but they don't publicize it. Like, they want to make it seem like, it's
secret,
just like how it was built in 1935. But he goes, like, if you go every year, you'll see, this green's a little bit bigger, or a little bit smaller
over here.
And if they want to put a tree in, they don't plant a little tree and wait for it to grow. Like, they import this tree from their nursery and it's a full grown tree already. And next year it's in the way. They're like, too many guys took advantage of that corner.
So they threw up
we need a big tree there.
80-foot tree there.
Well, I think it was on 10. It might have been on 10 that, because I think that's one of the ones with the pond, or is it 11 with the pond? 11 has the pond, right? Yeah, because
it's 11 that goes over. Yeah,
right. I think there was a year guys were driving it into the rough intentionally to give themselves a better angle into the green.
So they threw a tree in there.
So they threw trees. Like, they just were like, next year it's like, no, you drive there now. Something like that. So, Scott in the nasty chat. I'm astonished by the history of the Masters, and sometimes I'm a little shocked. It's not a great history. There is some ugly stuff that happened in and around that course. Obviously that part of the country had slavery for quite a while. So there's a book called The Masters, about 25 years old, that's really good and dives into
all of it,
everything, like how it was built, the glorious stuff, the ugly behind the scenes stuff.
So just a fair read.
Yeah,
on,
like
on
really
everything.
good, really good.
A couple of comments over in the chat on how you consume your Masters today. There's some good ones actually. Scott says, I really enjoy the Masters, but I won't make it my focus for the weekend. Chris says, or C-Run, I just always assume his name is Chris. I could be wrong. Sunday, I'm usually hungover and watching the Masters in a quiet place. That's the best. Robin Mungle Fitness says, I specifically scheduled my vasectomy today so I can just sit and watch the Masters for 4 days. Was that over the top? I don't think it's over the top. It's not the first time I've heard it. I've had other buddies who have been like, I got my vasectomy scheduled for the Wednesday of the Masters, and then I can sit there and watch. If I wasn't such a coward and I decided to get a vasectomy, I would definitely try to plan it for yesterday. You know?
I think what's over the top, what wasn't mentioned in that text, is this isn't his first vasectomy.
That's great. Yeah. First one didn't take.
He got it undone so that he could get it done again to watch the Masters.
That does make sense. Yeah. You get it undone right before the NHL playoffs. So you have a vasectomy for like a week and a half, and then you can settle in for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We're just watching Rory McIlroy shot. And then Rod Z says, I have a 4 TV setup. TV wall, 3 on now, and then 1 for the Masters. One has the Angels game. The other is the White Sox game as I sit at a desk. My goodness. A 4 TV setup. I don't know if I'll ever get there in my life. It's I've had 2 TVs side by side.
Do they still make TVs with picture-in-picture?
Oh, they must. Because why would you invent that technology then go away from it?
Well, because I think you would just wind up watching one or the other anyway. I had in the 90s, I had a TV with picture-in-picture, and I'd have 2 NFL games there, but really you just focus on one of them anyway.
Yeah, I think if I had a big enough TV, like a 96-incher, and you went 4 screens,
now they're
I think
so
I could
big.
kind of keep tabs. It would only ever really be good for sports. I mean, that's the only reason you ever have picture-in-picture.
I want to watch Terminator and Terminator 2 at the same time.
At the same time. pick out the differences. All right, it is 2 Guys A Goalie. We are presented to you by GS Construction. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. And, of course, you can hit us up over on YouTube as well. Cass, let's start with you, man. Out of nowhere, in the middle of the afternoon, it's like, Connor McDavid can play. And then not only does he play, he looks incredible, sets up 3 goals, including the game winner. I mean, he didn't look like he missed a beat. What'd you think of had to have been a bit of a strange day, but in the end, he just lit it up.
Yeah, he looked better than he did at any point before his injury after the Four Nations.
That's a good point, actually.
And it probably looked better than he did leading into the Four Nations for the games that he played for the Edmonton Oilers as well. And maybe that's just recency bias, like where we haven't seen him a little bit and you see him again, and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. But he looked better, which was fun to watch. And funny enough, I actually I heard from somebody at the rink, because I was at the rink in the afternoon. We did an alumni skate, and I heard from somebody that I reasonably could expect knew what was going on. And they're like, yeah, McDavid's coming back tonight. And I was like, hold on a second. And then I texted Tommy once I got home a little bit later, and I was like, hey, Tommy, I just heard a dirty rumor that McDavid came back. And he's like, oh, I don't know. Let me go check. And then like an hour and a half, 2 hours later, the news broke and it popped out. So I should have ran with it, because I could have taken some street cred as an insider, which it wasn't like I wasn't fishing for information. It was just being around the rink and someone that mentioned something. But so, and even then I didn't know. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting, especially since Knobloch had just said that he wasn't going to come back till maybe Friday. But yeah, I mean, he just, anytime you don't see him for a while and you watch him again, you're just like, this guy's just ridiculous. And he was at that level again. And you can tell generally it's like the high steps are going through the neutral zone. Like, and when he's high stepping through the neutral zone and he's like, I'm going to take on 5 guys and I'm going to beat them all by myself, you're like, okay, he's feeling it. And I think the three assists are a result of that. It was just beautiful hockey from Connor McDavid.
Reed, what do you think about Cass saying that he probably looked better last night than he did for a little while there before he was out, even before Four Nations?
Yeah, I thought he was exceptional. I mean, it's interesting for him because there's been this feeling all year that he's either not playing quite as well as he usually does, or he's had something nagging him. I mean, I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it was UCAS or somebody else said even about the Four Nations final that he really didn't have a great game.
No, he didn't.
But then he got the game-winning goal.
Yeah.
But he was awesome last night, and you see the difference. And you know, we've talked about this a lot on this station. Just the zone entries, right? Like if Connor McDavid gets the puck in front of his own net, you assume it'll be in the other team's end in 4 to 6 seconds. You know, like him and Draisaitl are that good at gaining the blue line, and then they go to work from there. And that's what he was like last night. And plus, you also saw, a reminder. We've seen it for a long time, but how good he is at getting the puck back. Like he's so strong on the puck. I still think that's an underrated part of his game is his strength, you know, because he's not like a huge guy. Like he's big, but he's not like this massive power forward built guy. But if he, you know, gets in under a guy, he takes the puck away from them. I mean, like in the third period, like he just took the puck away from somebody along the wall. He gets to that puck in the second period, right? And keeps it alive and gets it back for the point shot for Nurse to set up the Podkolzin goal. So it was, I mean, look, is it oversimplifying it to say they don't win without McDavid last night? They might not. I mean, maybe they score 2. I don't know if they get to 4 without him.
Yeah, I don't think they. I mean, especially if there was, like, if it's just the other 11 guys, like there's no Nuge, there's no McDavid, there's no Dry. You know, like I don't know if I like. Not that the Blues lit the world on fire by any stretch last night. Like, and McDavid was by far the best player on the ice, but I don't think if he doesn't come back, I don't think they win last night.
Probably not.
No.
Well, and we saw it the previous 2 games, right? They couldn't score in Los Angeles.
Yeah, didn't play awful,
at all,
but could not score.
But there's just not the same sort of pressure. And then even against Anaheim, I know they had tons of pressure, especially in the third period. But I couldn't help but think, okay, what if it's McDavid or Draisaitl taking one of these shots or making a pass to find a guy who's open? So it's great. I mean, obviously he's coming back. Draisaitl, I guess we'll find out more tomorrow. He's supposed to talk about his status, and I would think Nugent Hopkins is back tomorrow unless he's got something really
sick,
bad,
right? Yeah.
And get that final point that they need to finally clinch.
Hey, Reed, I want to ask you, because we played, you were there for the McDavid scrum last night. We played it this morning on postgame and stuff. What did you make of him talking about his day and not taking a spot from anybody? So
yeah.
And Gazdick, I thought, was great this morning, and you guys have Gaz on your show every second week, and we take him the other week. He basically laid out where he says, I think McDavid saw that they were going to go 11-5 and was like, I can go. Like, just let me go play. Is that the sense? Like, what was your vibe from that scrum last night?
Yes, I got the sense that once Nuge was out, then he thought, why wait until Friday?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm that close. And he did say, too, I could go out there and play a couple shifts, and if I didn't feel right, okay, then I just take myself out of the game.
And they're still at 11 anyway.
We would have been short. We would have been short anyway. And plus, Knobloch has said, he doesn't say it every time, but he has said numerous times the old line, well, most of these guys could play if it was a playoff game.
Yeah.
Right? So McDavid probably thought, like, okay, like, let's stop fooling around with, as I've been talking about, this slim chance of Calgary passing them or whatever. Let's just put me in and increase the chances of getting a point or two out of this game. But yeah, it was kind of a weird day because he was ruled out sort of off the record by the Oilers even before the morning skate.
Yeah.
We got word of that. And then as it goes on, but like, it's interesting, Cass, like, do guys, like, who has the final say? Like, would a trainer ever actually say, I know you feel great, Connor, but I was poking around there or wherever you're hurt. Like, no way you're going. Like, I just can't approve it.
Well, at the end of the day, the coach is going to be the one that's going to pull the trigger or not pull the trigger, because they are the one that fills out the lineup card, right? Like, so the coach is going to be the final say ultimately. Because they're writing the names down on that lineup card that they have to submit. And if they don't write your name down, you can't play. So the coach at the end of the day is the last final authority, but trainers they'll say, no, you're not ready. Now, the likelihood of them doing that is pretty low if they know a guy that's close, like if a trainer actually being like that, because realistically, you're going to go to Connor McDavid, who feels he's ready. He feels his body's ready. The doctor maybe has cleared him at this point and said, you're probably ready to play. You're going to be the guy that's like, well, no, Connor, you cannot, and I will not let you. as a trainer, like, no. Now you might say like, okay, Connor, like, you know what? It's got to be you'd fall back to the authority in that position as a trainer. You'd be like, oh, you know what? I know you're close. I know you feel ready, but the coach has got to make that decision, right? You pin it on somebody else. I think the trainers would in that. And then they're going to tell the coach, hey man, I don't think he's ready, but he's saying he's ready. Like, you're going to try to avoid the conflict with the player as a trainer, I think, in that instance. And then what you tell them may be different than what you tell the coach if you're actually concerned about them not playing. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the coach's decision. And realistically, for Knoblauch or for whoever, if you have Connor McDavid come to you and be like, I'm ready to play, put me the heck in. At the end of the day, if the player is pushing and pushing and pushing, like, what are you going to do? Like, yes, you have the ultimate final say to not put him on that lineup sheet, but is it worth starting the conflict with that player? Like, you gotta. There's politic involved here, guys. And Connor McDavid has the most pull of any player in the league. Leon Draisaitl shortly behind him.
You know what? This is. I mean, this is a real. I guess I'm just joking around here, but this reeks of Matthew Iwanik's mandatory vacation for all you guys. Gager's off this week, wanted to be here. Reed never really wanted time off last week, but he got it. And Trev's off like tomorrow and all of next week without even wanting to book it. It's just like, nope, you take your time. You take your time. You have to take it or else we'll get in trouble for making everybody work too hard. That's the local comparison that I was thinking of. There's 4 games left, Reed. So it's with San Jose and the back-to-backs against Kings and Jets. And then I guess Jets and Kings in that order. And then San Jose again. I know they haven't clinched yet. You must be a little bit more.
I'm way more.
Okay,
way more.
There's a big difference between 99.7 and 99.99.
Oh, yeah, there's a big difference.
Yeah. How many games do you think McDavid will play over the Final 4?
Oh, that's a good question.
They have the back-to-backs, 2 against San Jose. They're going to clinch. Like, I wonder.
I think 3.
You think he'll get 3 of them? That's probably not the back-to-back.
No, I think he'll want to play against Winnipeg and LA.
The Kings. Yeah.
I think he'll want to say, okay, guys, like,
so final game against San Jose.
These are really good teams ahead of us in the standings, and let's see how we do, everybody. Like, let's go. Let's really get
a real
up.
test.
And then maybe he takes the last game of the season off against the Sharks. It's hard to know because they want to play every game. Now, last year, 5 of them sat out that game in Colorado? Who sat out that game?
There was a conversation about it. Yeah, I remember.
Ekholm and Bush all didn't play, and then they just lit up Skinner in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah.
The Avalanche did.
Yeah, because they still played Skinner, but they didn't start him. People were like, why would you crush your goaltender's confidence heading into the playoffs? That was the conversation.
Right,
last
and then
year.
it didn't. And then it didn't really make much of a difference. But I think he'll play. I think he'll play 3 out of the 4. I mean, I can't see him playing fewer than 2.
No, I thought. I mean, 3's probably a reasonable. Cass, you think there's any way they run him out there all 4, or he wants to play all 4?
Yeah, he might want to play all 4 after missing a whole bunch, and that would be the only way. Like, do you think? Yeah, I can't see him playing less than 3. I don't know why you would play him less than 3 because of the time he's missed. But I could see, like, oh man, it just kind of depends on where they're at with LA. Because to me, I'm like, okay, do you want to play him in a back-to-back, like coming off of an injury? Like, is that the break you give him? Like, you play him against San Jose, you play him one of the back-to-back, and then you play him against San Jose again. Like, confidence booster games, just let them roll San Jose and give them either Winnipeg or LA off. Like, I could see that happening, but I don't think they go less than 3. They're either running the table, he's gonna run the table with it, or he's playing 3. There's no way Connor is like, I'm only gonna play 2. I can't see it happening, guys.
What about that? Some people brought this up in the chat, Reed. Like, what about the draw of, let's say the Kings don't lock up second here right away.
Right.
Would you rather try to track down home ice in the first round or give McDavid a game off at the end of
I think that they would try to track down home
Yeah.
ice. Even though it appears that they haven't been handling it that way by leaving these players out of the lineup. But I think if it's there where it's a possibility, even if it's 50% or just slightly less, then I think they would go for home ice. Because they've had it every other year against LA and they've won every series. So maybe
try to keep something the same,
for the mental side of it. But LA has they have to outdo LA by 3 points.
Okay.
Because LA will have the regulation win tiebreaker.
Okay. So
because they're
they
plus
have to.
6 in that category. So the Oilers can't.
And who's LA got left? How many? What do we?
LA's got 5 left. They play a lot, Because St. Louis is already at 80 games. I don't have their remaining schedule.
I'll get the Kings schedule up here right away. They're playing tonight. They get the Ducks tonight, and it's in LA where they've been good. So they're home against the Ducks, home against the Avs, then come here, and then the very next night are in Seattle against the Kraken, and then they wrap at home next Thursday against the Flames.
Right, which is why the playoff series probably wouldn't start until next Sunday at the earliest.
Yeah, so they play Thursday. I was wondering about that. Yeah,
so then they probably
Sunday,
wouldn't make the Kings start a playoff game on
like a
one
Saturday,
day rest.
yeah.
So maybe it would start Sunday or even Monday, and then the Oilers, they would just stay in California, wouldn't they, Cass? Like they wouldn't fly home Thursday and then go back down to LA on Saturday.
No, if you knew you're staying there, you just stay there. You just stay there. Like, why would you? You might go do a team something, like not stay right in LA or downtown LA. Like you might head out of town.
They should go to Legoland. It's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Take their mind off everything.
Go to Legoland. Yeah, they'll go to Legoland. They'll build a full-sized NHL rink out of said Lego and have a practice before going back to downtown LA. That for sure is what's happening.
Reed, what'd you think of Skinner and Brown last night getting a chance to play with McDavid?
Well, the results were good. I mean, good for Connor Brown to cash in a couple. I think Jeff Skinner, I'm going to group him and Arvidsson together. And I know Jay Mill and I are going to talk more about this on our show this afternoon.
Nice preview, 3-6 right here.
But I think both those players are now looking like the players the Oilers and the fans hope they signed in July. I mean, they're scoring about every third game since the Four Nations face-off. Jeff Skinner, to me, looks much more involved. Like, I think his checking has improved. I think he's on the right side of the puck more. Like, there was a play, it was either in the first or the third because they were attacking to the end to my right. And the puck went over to the offensive left-wing boards, and a St. Louis player, got there. Like, it was one of those where you knew he was going to win the race, but Jeff Skinner was going to be able to apply some pressure. And Skinner was kind of right behind him. And I thought to myself, which side is he going to go? Because earlier in the season, he would go on the offensive side, try to lift the stick, and then he's got a path to the net. But no, he went on the blue line side of the puck. And I don't think he won it, but he checked the guy and prevented him from making a pass. And, I think St. Louis just had to flip it out to center. So he's doing little things like that. And that goes back to that comment Draisaitl made, I think in December or January, where he was asked about Jeff Skinner. And he said, well, he's had to learn the types of things that championship contending teams do. And that's it, right? Like, don't cheat for offense, like be in the right spot. He's never going to be a big banger or body checker, but I think his checking and positioning is better. And Arvidsson seems more like he's muckier and more under control. I know we would always get a lot of comments like, why does he fall down all the time? Like, and he's connecting on more of his one-timers, not always scoring, but I mean, he hit that.
No, but he's getting him off now.
Right.
He wasn't even getting those looks earlier in the year, right? Like, he wasn't getting a lot of those looks.
So anyway, so I liked with McDavid and Skinner and Brown. And we'll see, right? Because coaches want options. And the lines change all the time. But does this present? I still want Hyman to be on McDavid's wing ultimately, but we saw Nugent Hopkins have that little burst with the 9 points in the 4 games. So could you roll out the centers at playoff time, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and Henrique down the middle? Because I still think they'd prefer to play Janmark or whoever on the wing.
Yeah.
So if Skinner's going, Arvidsson's going, and maybe Brown is feeling it a little bit more, then maybe you can use those guys.
And if Frederick's back.
Right. Then maybe you can use those guys on 3 different lines.
Cass, you think they open the playoffs with those 4 centers down the middle? Or do you think Nuge is on the wing?
Quite possibly. But I want to jump in on this because we were talking about this yesterday. I was talking about it with old Dish, Chris Dingman, yesterday, actually. And we were having a conversation about it and about how important it can be to know who is going in any given game in the playoffs and to be fluid enough and not rigid in giving guys that are going opportunities. And I think seeing Skinner and Arvidsson start to click here, and I think Arvidsson's a bigger one because Skinner's kind of, yes, he's had to learn some of the things and play a little bit different, but like he's managed to contribute along the way. And we've seen little flashes where Arvidsson had basically done nothing for a vast majority of the season. And now it's like, okay, now he's being a little more physical and around the net. Now he's finding a way to give himself opportunity. And now the puck's actually going in, like where he's doing a lot of really good things, which is great and great for momentum, but it gives you flexibility. It gives you flexibility because it's like, what if Hyman's having a horrible night? What if Hyman's having a horrible night? What if he's off? Well, now, even if, like a Skinner isn't starting on that first line, now as a coaching staff, what you should be doing is you should recognize halfway through the first period or after the first period or in the second, whenever it is, to say, Hyman's off tonight. He doesn't have the juice. He does not have it tonight. We need to slide someone else in there that has shown us recently that they can play. And maybe I'm watching Arvidsson's game and I'm like, yeah, he's got it tonight. He's feeling it. And he's had some success with McDavid. They've played a little bit together. And I can see that these guys are going. So let's put the guys that are going on the ice and not put out guys that aren't there, that don't have the gas. So it just gives you options and flexibility. As far as the centers, is that who I think they could roll with? Yeah. I mean, I could see them going with that. Again, there's still so much uncertainty around exactly who's going to be back from a health standpoint that we don't quite know yet.
So I was just kind of looking at what the playoff, because we were asked all the time, and you guys would get it on your show too, like, is Skinner going to be in there to start the playoffs, depending on how healthy they are? And so let's just say it's McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, Henrique down the middle, and then Hyman, Arvidsson, Perry, and Brown on your right side. And then the left side, they're not taking Janmark out. I think they really like Podkolzin. If Frederick's healthy, he's there. And then we don't know what's going to happen with Evander Kane, so I don't know if we really have to factor that in. I mean, but at that point, the other options are Kapanen and Jones and Skinner. I mean, Skinner, yeah, 100%, right? Like,
Skinner, easy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way they would go Frederick and like. So let's just say in a world where Podkolzin stays with McDavid and Arvidsson, Frederick goes with Draisaitl and Arvidsson. Frederick goes with Hyman and McDavid, and then there's the third line spot, and Kapanen has a decent leash here, I think. In a bottom six, would you rather have Skinner in your bottom six, or do you think Knoblauch would rather have Kapanen in his bottom six?
That's where I think there's a chance that Skinner could be out of the lineup. I don't
like that's the only way I look at it. But the line, if they do go with those guys down the middle, the line would be with Nuge at center. Which, I mean, Skinner could play with Nuge. Like, that could be an offensive line. Like,
I completely agree. And that's where it's like, I'm almost afraid they start Kapanen instead of Skinner. But I'm like, it should be Skinner instead of Kapanen. I don't know why Kapanen has as much leash. It feels like he gets a ton of leash for what he actually does out there. Because it's like he's a guy that does a whole lot of nothing all the time. And sometimes that's okay, but sometimes it's not. And I would rather have Skinner, but that's me.
Yeah, I think Kapanen skates well. Sometimes he makes a play, I think, where you're like, oh, wow, that's quite a skilled play, or he uses his speed. I think he's too mistake prone, though. I mean, he turns over the puck in the neutral zone. Yeah. I know Bouchard got blamed for the breakaway goal in Anaheim.
That was Kapanen.
But Kapanen's the one that gave the puck away. I mean, Bush is thinking, okay, we're starting our rotation here where I'm going to jump in and join the cycle. I would hope, and again, like the lines can change every game based on who's hot or cold or healthy. But I think Jones obviously comes out. Last night was probably his second best game with the Oilers after his first game. Good for him, but usually he's kind of like safe but doesn't do a lot.
Yeah, he was involved.
And then Kapanen can do stuff, but he's not safe. So I think those two guys have to come out, and you'd leave Jeff Skinner in.
Yeah, so that'd be good news for Skinner. I think that's probably where it would go, and then we'll see where he goes. But I mean, the amount of ice time he's got this year, and the fact that he's going to be probably just shy of 20 goals, it's not that bad a season for him. 3 guys, almost 30 minutes on the back end last night because they only went with 5. I mean, I don't know how many times I said Nurse has had a good season, but I don't know how many times I loved his game last night. Yeah. I thought he was excellent. And Kulak was a monster last night as well. I mean, it's nice to see those guys have those games when they have to like there's no other option. They had to play those guys a ton, and I thought they were very good. Even Bouchard, compared to the previous game, was pretty good last night.
Well, I thought Nurse played a little angry too, which was good. And I think that the team is heeding Perry's comment from after the Dallas game when he was asked, you guys have to do more to protect your goalie or whatever he was asked. And he said, we'll address that internally. Because that scrum last night, at some point, Shen was trying to get at Perry. And remember, Nurse skated out of the corner and grabbed Shen. So I think that was Nurse saying...
The Binnington scrum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot going on there, and Nurse I think broke away from another guy and just sprinted at Shen and took him over the boards. And I think in my mind, that's Nurse saying hey, Corey, I heard what you said, and I'm gonna act on it. Not just that someone's picking on our goalie, someone's picking on you, and you got two guys on you or whatever, and Binnington's trying to jump you. I'm gonna get in there and remove this guy from the scrum, whether they fight or not. And I thought Nurse was very good. Kulak's been great all year and looked very comfortable playing those minutes. You worry that, I don't know, Cass, sometimes I worry with those guys, if they're used to playing 21 minutes, that is when they get to that 23rd minute, all of a sudden, even though they're in great shape, something changes and they're just not as good. But that didn't affect those guys last night at all.
No, it didn't. And great observation with Nurse, on that scrum. And I was actually surprised at how fast the D got in there in the first place. It's the second Binnington threw that punch, they were flying in. They were just there was no hesitation. And I love that. Right. Where it's, there's a penalty, and the face off might come outside the zone, but you sense danger and it's just it's just go. It's just go. And that was great and kind of a testament to Nurse's game. And I agree. I mean, that was one of my favorite games Darnell Nurse has played. He was incredibly solid. And Kulak too. I mean, you guys already talked about those two. It was so good. Yeah, I don't worry about those two guys because we have seen them before. And in playoffs, we've seen Kulak play a lot of minutes and do it very well. Now, Nurse last year, we all know he struggled immensely in the playoffs. But prior to that, he was a guy that at times would play in that 25, 26, 27 minute a night range. And a lot of nights was good at that. And it's been huge for this team where Darnell Nurse has been at for most of the season, and that he's played just steady and consistent and solid. And he's been very, very good. And it was just encouraging from a playoff standpoint to have him play a game yesterday where it's he was the guy and Kulak was the guy, and they gave you a really good high minute game. And the late minutes were good too, which is awesome.
780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. And you can get in on the inbox. We'll get to a few of those text messages. Big Uke saying, be nice to have Dry and Nuge back and just clinch in a blowout fashion tomorrow night. Scott Thompson says, Jeff Skinner yelling at the zebra and getting the 10-minute misconduct. He was my spirit animal last night. You were tweeting about it. Weren't you tweeting about that last night?
What did I? Yeah,
you said what was it? It was a good tweet. A lot of people were like,
Jeff Skinner gets a 10-minute misconduct for pointing out the official's shortcomings. Yeah. Well, I didn't even see the replies. Oh, wow. Some people used a word that had horse in it.
Oh, no.
That was the first syllable of the word.
Oh, no.
On the ref, not on
Skinner.
Yeah, it was, I think, look, as I've always say to you guys and to the audience, we could do 12 hours of our live programming on NHL refereeing.
Yeah.
So I usually don't dive into it unless something's egregious or interesting to talk about.
I had started the show that morning complaining about NBA officiating. So when I saw everybody go to the NHL officials, I was like, I can't do this again tomorrow. But justified what you said.
Yeah, but the Anaheim game, there were some befuddling calls, even both ways. I think Arvidsson didn't actually get tripped in the third period against Anaheim. And then yesterday, it's clearly frustrating when a guy is punched in the back of the head off a face-off. I don't know what a ref is thinking in that. If they honestly didn't see it, okay, they didn't see it. It's frustrating, but I don't want them to make up calls. I don't know if they thought, oh, yeah, well, he punched you, Jeff, but you stayed on the ice too long, so I won't call a penalty. That's dumb. And then the being held when he's trying to back check, I don't know how somebody doesn't see that. I guess it's better he got a 10-minute misconduct than a 2, because then that would have also negated, even though you lose him for 10 minutes, I guess he got a good rest. But, Cass, what is the... Brownie always used to tell me that you could say a lot to a ref if you weren't overly demonstrative and didn't try to embarrass him.
Generally,
Was that your experience? Like you could actually be
Yeah.
quite insulting to the ref if you weren't too over the top about it, or
Yeah, I mean, I tried to always be tactical because I always wanted them on my side because I'm like, if I do something dirty, I want the benefit of the doubt, right?
That makes
like
sense, though.
if they see something and they're like, I don't know about that, but no, he wouldn't do. Like I want them on my side if I can. So I always tried to be, for the most part, really like just respectful, and even when I disagreed, like try to do it very calmly and very matter of factly, and be like, hey, explain to me what you saw there because this is crazy. That being said, I had my moments, because I wasn't always calm. I tried to be, but there was times when I let the officials have it for various things and tried to make statements about how I felt. For example, actually still reffing. So it was Kyle Riemann was the ref, and we were playing. So this actually was in junior, this one. So this is even before pro, but he was giving me an interference penalty off a draw. So we were in the offensive zone. And so I was the inside winger, and so I got called. He called me for a pick, but I didn't actually pick the guy. The guy fell. So he tripped on his own, fell onto my legs as I was skating, and took us both down. Now, as we were both falling down, defenseman Ryan Bender, who's now a real estate agent in lovely Regina, Saskatchewan, called him Big Sexy. Big Sexy takes a one-timer, and the one-timer hits me right in the face as I'm falling down, because now I'm falling down with this guy on my legs, and I'm getting, like, whistle goes, like I just got hit in the face. I am gushing blood everywhere, like straight in the chin. I don't know if my jaw's broke, like blood everywhere. And I'm getting an interference penalty, which was the most thing. So I am losing it on, in that instance, like I'm losing on the ref, and he's trying to like give me the penalty, but kick me off the ice because I need to go get stitches. And I just refused. I went and sat, like they had to get the trainers to come and get me from the penalty box. I was split open, like all the way down my chin, just gushing blood.
Gross.
But I was so mad and just losing it. And me and Remy had a pretty good, like he was one where he knew if I got heated, usually there was something to it. But yeah, I mean, referees don't want to be embarrassed. And I think at times, though, as a player, you want them to have that feeling, right? Because you have to think you're trying to manipulate them. Right. Like that's your ultimate goal, is you are trying to manipulate the ref. And so you're trying to figure out, how do I get the next call? How do I get them to emotionally like favor me with something here? And if that's shaming somebody, it's shaming them. Right. Like that's what you're going to try to do. But some referees don't respond well to that. I mean, I thought that was a pretty quick, like he gave him the misconduct pretty quick on that. Like Skinner was right there and kind of gave him this right in front of him, and he threw him pretty quick. I'm surprised he didn't just give him a tee. Like I thought he was going to tee him up and give him the 2 minutes. But yeah, I mean, for Skinner, I think it was totally justified. I would have been, in that instance, I would have been losing it. Like if you got scored on in that, yeah, I would have been losing it, probably losing it from the bench. But yeah, I forgive Skinner for that, because really frustrating that both guys on the ice don't see two calls in a matter of a couple seconds. One that, yeah, he probably wouldn't have got back, but you could make the argument he would have been able to break up the play. The defenseman would have played it different. A little bit of pressure coming back would have made the entire thing different, and it should have been called.
It doesn't mean like it just, it was so obvious. You're right. Like, how does it not get called?
Well, yeah, I remember like sitting watching it live from up top, thinking, okay, 2-on-1, they're going to blow it dead. I'm like, what? They're not calling that?
Yeah.
What's going on? But like Cass, you make a great point. Like there's so much gamesmanship and trying to get calls and do little things to influence the ref. And look, we've seen it now for years. McDavid does get held a lot. He also skates past players and puts his free arm into their bellies.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he gives them no choice but to hold them, and then
he is good at doing that. It's greasy.
Like, yes,
but
it's a hold, but so they've figured out ways to do. I don't know if you heard me earlier in the week, Cass. Like I was just mad on. Was it the LA game? Yeah, Janmark tapped Byfield on the gloves, and he's called for hooking.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that shouldn't be called. Like offensive players expect to get checked and impeded, like little taps on the gloves. That's what I don't like about some of the, hooking and slashing penalties. They've made penalties in the NHL. So like a guy's in front of the net trying to score, it's okay to cross-check him in the back and drive him to the ice, because it's close to the net. He might score, but a guy through the neutral zone gets a little like this and
makes no sense.
Doesn't even lose control of the puck. Oh, that's taking away possession. But I still think generally the reffing is good. 50-50 calls, you'll always be upset if they go against a team. But I do think the Anaheim game and last night game were substandard from the referees.
I just try to save most of my officiating rants to the playoffs because that's when it really pisses me off. When it changes, like when it changes so much. Cass, we've been doing two guys for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Like come playoff time, it's tough to. And I know there'll be some numbers who are like, well, look, they're actually calling close to the same amount of penalties.
Yeah.
But how much more shit are they getting away with?
Yes.
Because
That's
it just
the thing.
gets so like. Don't tell me, oh, they call the same amount. But how many more could they be calling? Because guys are getting away with everything because they're like, well, we can't call everything, so you just get away with it, and that's when it really goes off the rails. I just hate how much different playoff hockey can become than regular season hockey with the way it's officiated. It drives me nuts. It's also accepted. That's the other thing that pisses me off. That many people just sort of accept it. I'm like, you're ruining the integrity of the game by allowing all of this stuff to go. Like give 7-8 power plays early in a game in a series, and things they'll dial it in a bit. It drives me nuts. Yeah. It drives me nuts. And it's really an Oilers take, even though I'm not trying to be an Oilers homer here, because McDavid will draw 2 penalties in a playoff game, but there should have been 6 because they know they're not going to call every single one, right? It drives me nuts.
I'm sorry, Dustin. It's not going to change.
Yeah, I know it's not going to change. That's the thing. And I'm one of those fools who's like, maybe this year, they'll call it by the book and the Oilers will get 5 or 6 power plays a game. And it's never going to be the case. Okay, so we ran a poll this morning on our show on the YouTube channel, and I think the final results ended up being about 58% for Skinner, 42% for Pickard to start game 1, which, to be honest with you, I thought it might be more towards Pickard from the way fans have viewed him the last little while. So I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised that Skinner still had 58% of the vote from the fan base right now, who obviously have turned on him quite a bit over the last 2 months. But Cass, what do you think is the main reasoning behind 58% of fans still wanting to go to Skinner despite his struggles and despite the fact that he's coming off of an injury?
Should I do a haiku?
Yes.
If you want to, that'd be great. This is quick.
Yeah. Fans cry for Pickard, yet Skinner holds strong a net. Doubt shadows his skill.
Did you have that written down?
Wow. I had that written down. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I had that written down. I know it wasn't
Good
one I
work.
made up because I anticipated we get to this today, and I anticipated that people were gonna after that game gonna continue to hop on the Pickard train. I actually had a longer poem as well. It was but it would take me like 2 minutes to read. So we're not going to do that. We can tell that I've been thinking about this and knowing that we had this conversation coming.
Please text me the poem later, okay?
Yeah.
I will text it to you guys later. But like, I'm. There should be more than 58% that are like Skinner. Skinner will start. He is your starter. He's your starter. Now, what this does, and I think it was Hernan that said it first, but what this does is it enables you, if Skinner does struggle, it enables you to, in a much quicker pace, go to Pickard confidently and to not have your team doubtful of who you have in net in doing so. Right? Like it's like you could pull Skinner if he let in a couple weak ones early. It's like you don't have to wait and try to let him work through it. You can just pull him and put Pickard in. Stuart Skinner's still your starter, guys, even coming back from injury. Now, if he came back and he plays, let's say the last 2 games Skinner does, and he chunks it, both the last 2 games, it could change and Pickard could end up being your starter. But for now, Skinner's still your guy. He's your guy. He took you within a goal of the Stanley Cup last season. And I know he had some struggles in the playoffs, but he's your guy. He's going to be the organization's guy. That's who they want to be their starter. That's who's going to be the starter. Lateral movement or not.
How bad do you think would have to be, Reed, when he comes back to not get that net for game 1?
To basically just not make any big save, to look rattled, to look like he's shrinking. in the net, and maybe that's sort of an emotional feel as well as anything. Like if he comes back and he just looks like, sometimes a goalie just looks lost, or they're making a save and they almost surprise themselves even. They're like, oh, I got it. Like,
Wow.
I think if we see that, then I think they would go with Pickard in game one. I think if Skinner plays a couple games out of the last 4 and is at least, okay, like allows 2 or 3, then certainly I think he would get game one. But like you make a great point, Cass. Like they're clearly not afraid to go for Pickard. Clearly I would think the players feel fine playing in front of Pickard. Like he's almost got that. I know we use this comparison a lot whenever we see like kind of a journeyman goalie excel for the Oilers, like maybe a bit of that Rolison thing going on. Like
I've seen a bunch of Tim Thomas comparisons popping up in the inbox, which Tim Thomas had one of Vezina, I believe.
Yeah,
but
he was more. He was in the NHL, I think, more than Pickard was before this point. But I again, and we've seen it with Knoblauch, and I referenced this with the guys last night. Like, there's so much on what happens in the first game. Well, it's the first game. Like, Knoblauch and this coaching staff is not afraid to make a change, and not afraid to make a change in a big game. We know what happened with the goalies in Vancouver. Warren Foegele did not play Game 6 against Dallas. A guy who's sorely missed. Cody Ceci did not play Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final, a guy that has also been missed this year.
Yeah.
So I think that I agree. I think they want Skinner to be the starter. I think they still feel his high end is higher than Pickard's high end. It's just we haven't seen that from Stewart, really since the team had that 22-6-1 run. But I think that if Skinner comes back and is, kind of just solid, average, okay before the playoffs, he'd get the game one start. But then I think the coaching staff is going to be, then we go from there. There's no guarantees.
Before we wrap here, first of all, what's coming up on your show today, Reed? What do you...
We got Randy Hahn's going to jump on.
Okay.
San Jose Sharks play-by-play voice, Edmontonian.
Yep.
I think he used to be on CFRN TV back in the day.
Did he really? What's
yeah,
really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I've talked to him about I think the Al McCann days.
Okay.
He was probably a young. I'll have to get a reminder from him. We're going to be watching the Masters all afternoon. I know Jay wants to talk.
Corey
about
Connor's
stuff.
in at 4 under.
Is he leading?
He's second.
He's second. Okay.
Somebody. Yeah, he's tied for second right now, I think.
We're actually going to talk about. When Jay and I prep a show, a lot of times one of us has an idea and we'll start talking about it, and then we're like, okay, stop. Save the rest for on air.
Yeah, a little tease.
We want to talk about, should goaltenders have to serve their own penalties? And I
jeez.
Guess what I did, Dustin?
Okay.
I went to the rule book and printed it up. Just as
Of course you did. Of course you did. The bookbinder. The bookbinder.
Like, it's insane. I'll just tease this. Cass is probably rolling his eyes at me. It's insane what a goalie can get away with and not have to miss any time or go to the penalty box.
Can you imagine a goalie taking the penalty, going in the box, the backup has to come in?
It should be that.
That would be awesome.
Or should it?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Wow, that's going to be a good discussion. Okay, so that's coming out of the Reed Wilkins Show. EST Afternoons is coming up. Zach, what are the boys going to have from 1 to 3 here?
Well, Brian Swain, Alberta Basketball and Canada West will be joining Hernan Salas on a solo show. Zach to the Future, a little bit early one today because
Cool.
Hernan's going to be in Mexico. He's going to be heading his way down there, and Mr.
Are you hopping
Reed
on with him
Wilkins
too?
will be coming on at 2:20.
Yeah, I'm going to be on 4 shows today.
Yeah, because you're in our show
Yours,
this morning.
Whoa.
this one,
That's a good run.
Hernan's, and my own.
So, does this guy work hard or what? Hey,
I should do all 12 hours someday.
You should.
Like,
I've talked about doing that in the past too. I think it would be very cool. I think that
we
would
should
be fun.
do that someday
I don't know how
together.
that-
Just
yeah,
give
that'd
everybody
be
else the
nuts.
day
12,
off.
I think we got it all.
Like, do Christmas
That would
Eve
be
or
nuts,
something.
guys.
Yeah, that would be fun, actually.
That
I don't
would
mind that
be
idea. Oh, and I wanted to throw it out there. I don't know if you're listening somewhere, but Big Uke sent in a limerick for our show, and I refused to read it. I said, that's the Reed
I
Wilkins
didn't
show
hear
bit. So I didn't read it. So I don't know if you'll send it in a little bit later
He'll
on
send
or
it
what.
in, yeah.
But he said it was meant for us. I was just like, no, don't read limericks. So
I wouldn't have been hurt if you read it.
it felt, I don't know, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. So that'll maybe sneak into your show later on as well. Cass, you have a good weekend, buddy, okay?
Thanks, guys.
There you go. That's going to do it for 2 guys and a goalie for Reed Wilkins. Matt Kassian, 2 guys every single day. brought to you by the fine folks, the Sandman and the crew over at GS Construction, where this just in, they are hiring now. Visit their page at Indeed.ca or their own website, gsconstruction.ca, for more details on taking your career to another level with GS Construction. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning on The Nielsen Show. Take it easy.